Good evening. I'm extremely excited to be here today on this special edition of the Command Post, and I'll tell you why. Over the years, we've done several shows that have dealt closely with your public safety department. Now, some of those shows were well received by you, some not so much. But today, we're going to give you, our viewing audience, an opportunity to participate with us in what I know is a rare chance for you to have a direct impact on your city services for years to come. You're going to hear from members of your community about the upcoming Firefighter EMT Expo that will give you a great opportunity to know what it's like to become a firefighter. So on behalf of the Department of Public Safety with Mitchell Brown Director, I'm your host today, Greg Couch. But before we open up the lines and take your calls and ask questions, I think introductions are in order for our esteemed guests that are on the panel today. Now, first we have Liz Reed, Public Safety Assessment Team Manager for Columbus Civil Service Commission. Thank you for being here, Liz. We also have beside her Charles Gilton.
Yes, exactly right.
Columbus Firefighter, who works in recruiting, who's actually been on the show several times before, and he's been on the fire division over 30 years. Charles, thanks for being here.
Thank you for that introduction.
Well, there you go. And last, and certainly not least, we have Chief Gregory Paxton of the Columbus Division of Fire. I want to thank all of you for being here.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
But you know what? I'm going to lay down the gauntlet right now. I'm going to lay it right on the table right now before we open up the lines and ask questions and talk about this expo, which I've heard a lot about. A lot of excitement building up about this
absolutely.
expo. Before we do that, I got to ask, why is this so different from what's been done in the past in reference to this expo? Because we have done shows on recruiting before, and Charles, you have been here several times.
Several times.
And I think it's fair to ask, is this expo, is this going to make a difference in what we're trying to accomplish here?
I think, Greg, it's going to be a major difference in the way that this has been put together. There was nothing like this, and you alluded to earlier, I've been on over 30 years. When I came through this process, there was nothing like this. And I think because Columbus has a growing population demographically with the various entities that make up Columbus, which are cultural, ethnic, lifestyles.
Sure.
I think this is an ideal way to promote this expo and get people involved from those various groups that I mentioned.
I know when you mentioned when you came on, what did you experience when you came on?
Zero. I mean, I shouldn't say zero, but there was nothing like this offered. This will acclimate a person to what fire service is, what firefighters do. And the resources that have been pooled into making this happen are enormous. So I can't think of a better way for anyone to not take advantage of this, because I think it's going to pay major dividends. And diversity benefits everyone. And part of this is to market ourselves to those groups that have felt disenfranchised and underutilized. So I think this is going to be a major step in promoting and being successful in that.
I know you're kind of shaking. This is your baby, isn't it, Liz? This is part of you. So let's talk a little bit about it. I mean, you agree with Charles?
All right. Yeah, the Firefighter Expo is actually an opportunity for individuals to learn about firefighting as a career. I know when I was young, I was in my 20s.
Well, you're still young.
I would like to think so, but the reality isn't necessarily there. But when I was younger, I didn't think about firefighting as a career for me. You know, as a female, it was like, well, sure, females can do the job, but I didn't think about it. I didn't internalize that question and say, well, what about me? Can I be a firefighter? And I think that's what this expo can help individuals do. For people who haven't really thought about firefighting as a career for them, this is an opportunity to see it close up. You know, what is it like? You know, what do you do as a firefighter? How do you interact? What's the lifestyle in the station like? What's the work? You know, the work-life balance, because
things you've experienced.
Yeah, because a job like I have a typical 40-hour job, Monday through Friday, and a lot of people think about that, you know, as a typical work schedule. But the work schedule is so much different in firefighting. Also, what you do is so much different. The teamwork, that's one thing. I study jobs for a living. Basically, I learn a lot about what different.
Is that what you do as an assessor?
Yes, I do. I learned a lot about a lot of different jobs, but primarily public safety. And in firefighting, there are a lot of key things about firefighting that's unique to firefighting that you don't see in other jobs. One of the biggest things is the teamwork. When you go out on a fire, all the individuals on the team are working together to make it work, to make it function. You've heard a lot of people probably say, oh, I'd never want to be a firefighter. You run into burning buildings when people are running out. But it's not like that because there's training involved. They have actually 6 months worth of training where they get to know what their role is on the team to make it happen so that you can help resolve whatever situation they have before them. And they work together to do that. It's thought out, it's planned out, and they have just extensive training. So it's not like it sounds in terms of you're just kind of running in haphazard. It's not like that at all. And this Firefighter Expo is an opportunity to see that close up, to see what it's like to be a firefighter. And there's different sessions. I don't know if you have any other questions.
Well, certainly. I want you to keep going.
I feel like I'm running.
And you can just keep on running. I want you to. That's fine because I can see you're on fire for this expo.
yes.
Pardon the pun, but you are. That's important. Because you mentioned something in the beginning where you said when you were growing up,
Right.
you probably didn't believe that these opportunities were out there for someone like you.
I didn't think about it. It was just something that didn't cross my mind as something, I was in my 20s, I was going to college, and firefighting was certainly out there as an option, but I didn't think about it. And I certainly, believe that women can do the job. I know that women can do the job, and they're out there doing it. And they do an excellent job. So the idea is for individuals who are physically active, for individuals who like to solve problems, like to get in there and make a difference in the community, this is a fantastic job. It challenges you both emotionally, physically, mentally, and for those people who want those kind of challenge, this is a perfect job. But a lot of people don't think about that because they may be college focused or thinking, I need that 9-to-5 job. Well, that 9-to-5 job may not be for you.
Certainly.
And this is an opportunity to see if firefighting is the thing that fits for you.
And the key is to get them to the trough, so to speak.
Exactly.
You got to get them there.
Exactly.
And that's what this expo is about. Where did the idea of the expo come from? Where did this come from?
This actually came from St. Paul. St. Paul, Minnesota did a Firefighter Expo. It was actually designed just for women. And there was a female battalion chief who put it on, and she brought in a lot of people, and they did a hands-on Firefighter Expo. The women had the opportunity to run through some of the ladder and hose operations, had to get a feel of, what it's like to lift the ladder, pull the hose off the truck, and that sort of thing. So I talked to that battalion chief, and I said, okay, so tell me what it was like to set this up. So she told me what the process they went through to do that, and that's when, I just loved the idea of it, is really introducing people to this job. And so I started talking to recruiting, we started talking to public safety, and got fire involved, and they, in true fire style, they came all out, all hands on deck, and they helped put this whole thing together.
We can have a better salesman.
But, so Charles, over the years, I'm sure you've worked with several women on the department.
Oh, extensively, yes. And they do a fantastic job. They do as well as any man.
Certainly.
And they're a benefit to the department. One of the things I think behind this is to market this expo to these groups that, I alluded to somewhat earlier in terms of the new American Initiative, the new immigrants that are here,
Certainly.
Second generation. We're trying to pave the path for them to understand that they have an opportunity to be a part of this. And I think this is one of the best organizations, and I'm not just saying this because I've been a member, but I've been getting feedback when I travel across the United States. They know Columbus, Ohio,
Certainly.
and they know a lot about the fire division, which is somewhat unexpected when I've traveled.
Certainly.
But an offer like this doesn't come along often, an option like this for anyone. And because of the situation economically, financially for people now, you cannot go anywhere that I can think of as, for instance, a high school senior and be able to go into a profession like this and have a financial stability, have an opportunity to advance yourself based on your merits,
Certainly.
not nepotism. It's based on how well you do, along with making lifelong friendships. I mean, this has just been a blessing. Outside of being married, this is what's best thing that ever happened to me. I agree on that. So,
That's great.
You know, I hope, my hope is that one day we will get to the point where we won't be having these discussions about representation in regards to women and all of that, because as you said, we know women and minorities are extremely capable of doing this job. The hope is that we will get beyond that and we won't be having this discussion. Right. But this expo in itself, you're so excited about this, and I can see why, because you're talking about firefighters or prospective candidates getting an opportunity to really see what it's like to do this job. And I just think it's a wonderful, wonderful way to involve people.
Right. If we're going to have more diversity within the fire division, it's got to start with the individual saying, I can do this. So this is that opportunity to see what it's like and then say, I can do this. That fire has to be lit within them to say, I'm going to do what it takes to be a firefighter because I know this is the job for me. This is the thing that, that I'm born to do. You may not know it yet, but that's what, you may be born to do that.
That's right.
When you talk to firefighters, and I've talked to a lot, and you ask them, how did you learn about the job? What made you interested in the job? What made you apply? Most of them will say it was somebody that they met. I met a firefighter. Certainly. Or a friend is a firefighter, or a friend's father is a firefighter, or a friend's aunt or uncle is a firefighter. They have some kind of connection with a firefighter in some way. What the expo does is it allows you to have that person that you know that's a firefighter, because you'll get to meet firefighters one-on-one. You'll get to have a conversation with firefighters, so you'll have that connection. You'll be, I found out about what the expo, but you might say it was from my friend, because it was your friend.
Hold that thought, because guess what? Because you're excited. We've got a caller. Okay. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, I'm here.
To, please. Who am I speaking to, please?
This is Lauren Miller.
Lauren, where are you calling from, dear?
Columbus, Ohio.
Well, Lauren, how can we help you? What's your question?
I just had a question about the expo. I wanted to know, are there any advantages to applying to the fire department if I go to the expo? And if not, what would be an advantage in going?
Well, good question. Who would like to tackle that?
Well, I think, Lauren, we discussed that earlier about the advantages and the benefits by attending the expo. It's an acclamation for persons that maybe aren't really familiar with what we do. They just know basically they see a fire truck and they see a hose and they're putting water on a fire and extinguishing it. But it's much more than that, because there's much more in the division other than just the fire suppression EMT portion, which is first aid. We have arson, we have juvenile fire setters, we have a lot of other opportunities for one to get involved with. Again, this will familiarize you somewhat with what we do. You're able to talk one-on-one with firefighters. You're able to view possibly some of the events, I believe, like the physical capability test, which is, I think, going to be changed to another name. But it can't do anything but help you and to benefit you. And then certainly interaction with female firefighters. I work with a female firefighter Julie De Silva, who's very involved with this. So I don't think it could do anything but pay dividends for you. And I would hope that you attend either March the 8th or the 15th. And we look forward to meeting you as well.
Well, thank you so much.
Well, Lauren, did that help you?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Are we going to see you there, Lauren?
Yes, you
will.
will.
Get some. Hey, Lauren.
Yes.
I want to see you there. They want to see you there. Bring your friends.
I'll be the first in line.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, Lauren.
Bye.
Back to what you were saying. I thought that's great, though. So we do have people who are really understanding that this expo is an opportunity for them to get out there. And so if you're out there watching this right now, if you have some questions, feel free to give us a call at 614-645-6557. You just heard Lauren. We hope to have, if you have some questions or concerns you might have about the expo, now's the time to get them out in the open. So back to what you were saying.
What was I saying?
No, you were talking about the expo itself and the advantages and all that. Yeah.
All right. So with the expo, one of the other things that we'll do, for those who register and get there, we'll have packets ready and available for them. Inside those packets will be information about how to prepare for the examination. So you come to the expo and you realize this is the job for me. You have that opportunity to take a look at what it's going to take to get on the team.
Sure.
So you have the study materials that are available to you. Now they are available, they will be very soon available online, but we'll have a printed copy for you so you can look through that as well.
I was glad you brought all of that up because I am going to talk a lot more about what's going to actually happen at the expo.
Okay,
but you know what I really want to know at this point? I really like to know, before I even ask that question, I'll come back to it. We've got another caller. You're on the air. Who am I speaking to, please?
This is Veronica Edwards,
Well, Veronica, where are you calling from?
Old Town East.
Old Town East. Okay, great. Well, Veronica, how can I help you?
Well, I have a daughter that I've been pushing to go to college ever since she was in preschool. You know, it's a lot of us baby boomers seem to do. But after working in higher education for many years, I've come to realize that college isn't for everyone. Students fail. They run up a lot of debt. So my question is, do you believe that some of the recruiting issues you might be having are due to people like myself who push their children to go to college and not look at a career as a firefighter? And will the expo deal with this?
Veronica, excellent question. And I got to be honest with you, I think all of us here, unless we try to fudge the numbers, I think we're all maybe baby boomers. We're kind of falling in there. And I got to be, I'm guilty because I have three children that have grown, and from the time they were little, I said, you know where you're going. You're going to college. Could that be an issue? Are we overlooking some way to really to appeal to maybe the parents or whatever it is of these the baby boomers of these young people that we're targeting? That's a great question, Veronica.
Well, certainly I'm a parent, and I think first and foremost, most parents value education first and foremost for their children to be successful in the marketplace. This, again, gives one an opportunity because we have tuition reimbursement. So by going through this process, and if they're successful, they can take advantage of that and go to college or post-college, for graduate school on. We've had, our esteemed chief right here is working on his doctorate. Our former chief, Chief Ned Pettis, went through the process with tuition reimbursement, and he's working on his doctorate. We have very many opportunities for one to take advantage of. And certainly as a young lady, this has been uncharted grounds, so to speak, but we need more women to reflect the diversity on the department. So I would hope that maybe your daughter will consider the Division of Fire as a profession for her and take advantage of the opportunity to come out on March the 8th and the 15th. There'll be other female firefighters there, and certainly we'll welcome any question that anyone has for this.
I think that was a great question that she posed. Baby boomers, I've never really looked at it that way, thought about, are they really, are we missing an opportunity maybe to work with the parents of a lot of the demographic that we are targeting, saying, hey, you know what, we have an option for you too.
Well, I think what's important that Charles brought up is that it's not an either or choice. You can, if you might be even midstream into college, you'll find that when you go into firefighting, when you go to the academy, you'll actually gain college credits through the training academy. So you are gaining those credits towards college, and then you can finish out your degree. So you can get both. For those who have graduated from college, I have certainly a daughter who's just graduated from college, and I have a son that's currently in college.
Certainly.
I would not veer them away, even with a degree, if they were interested in doing firefighting to do the job. Because the pay is good, the benefits are good, and it's a great job. It's a great job where you can be of service to your community, and you can really make a difference. It's just one of those jobs that you can be proud to have.
Well, Veronica, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Well, Veronica, did that help you?
It did, and my daughter will be there.
All right.
Looking
forward to it.
Make sure you get her there and bring your friends.
We'll do that. Okay, thank you.
No, thank you. You know, that's a great question. Great question. But you know what? What I was going to go back to was, you know, we've talked about this expo. What kind of feedback have you been getting from the community about the expo? I've been hearing it for the last month and a half, and there seems to be a buzz. So, what kind of feedback are you getting from the community about that, about the expo? And there's
Positive. The feedback that we've been getting in our office is very positive. And everyone wants to take advantage of this. Now, there's limited spaces for this expo for both of them. So we try to encourage these people to take advantage of it and sign up as soon as they can.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, and because you as a firefighter, you with all of your years of experience, when we talk about feedback, you know, what kind of feedback have you been given, or maybe I can talk a little bit about the attitude from firefighters who are already on the division, you know, especially those, and you know, I think it's fair to put this out there, especially those who might, and I hope that's not the case, but who might feel somewhat slighted that if they perceive that this expo is targeting specific groups. Have you gotten any feel of that, or?
Well, I haven't got any negative feedback from any incumbent firefighters in respects to that. I think everyone's concerned about how the division is going to look in the next 10, 15 years after we're gone.
Should be.
But I think most firefighters understand that we live in a global society. We have these new American initiative immigrants who are moved over here from their respective countries and cultures, and that this makes us all better in the big picture to have diversity. So I haven't had any negative feedback from any firefighters. Matter of fact, it's been encouraging.
Well,
and that's what we talk about: inclusion, not exclusion.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
Encouragement, not discouragement.
But I'm going to stop you there because we got another call.
Excuse me.
Caller, you are on the air. Who am I speaking to, please?
Laura Wagner,
Well, hi, Lauren. Where are you calling from?
Columbus.
Lauren, how can I help you?
Well, I have a son who's 19. He goes to Columbus State right now, and he's interested in going to the expo and finding out more about being a firefighter. But I did have kind of a few questions here. A few years ago, I did see you're talking about diversity. You had a show on diversity, and I was wondering, is that a problem on the Columbus Fire Department? And secondly, if you're targeting for diversity, would that hurt my son's chances?
Wow. Well, Charles, I'm glad you want to jump. Well, Lauren, we'll try to get you an answer. So you watched the show on diversity is what you're saying, right, Lauren? A few years ago, we did do a show on recruiting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, I think the challenge and the concern is that there's been a lack of representation over the past maybe 15 to maybe 17 years in terms of minority persons going through the process and being successful and being appointed. In 1975 to about 1986 or so, the majority of minority firefighters came on the department. Now, with a 25-year threshold for retirement, those persons have reached that, and most of them have left. There's only a few. And when I talk about diversity, we're talking about everyone. Your son included, Somalian, Hispanic, Latino, American natives, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered. We're talking about everyone. And sometimes, you know, this is somewhat difficult to try to explain to your peers how this overall diversity issue just doesn't include one particular group. Your son is certainly one of the people that we would love to see. So it's just a challenge that the division has taken head on and tried to address, along with the help of the Civil Service Commission, with the mayor, with the safety director, with our current chief. And we work very hard to try to make this thing work and to provide a diverse workforce because it makes you stronger.
I think, Lauren, I'm a little curious. Why are you concerned that this might hurt your son. May I ask you that?
Well, my son isn't a minority, and it seems like you're targeting minorities.
Okay,
I mean, obviously nothing wrong with that, but just thinking, is that going to hurt his chances?
That's where I think she was coming.
Okay,
Well,
and I mean, that's the whole purpose of civil service, is to ensure that everyone has a fair and equal opportunity to show what competencies they bring to the job. That's what the whole selection process is about, is to ensure that those people that demonstrate those skills are the ones that are selected into the positions. What the Expo is doing, the reason why the Expo is focusing on a more diverse, a more inclusive background, is because what we find is that minorities, women, are not coming to the table with that same level and the same numbers that you're seeing with non-minorities. What we want to do is to spark that interest, so they too can demonstrate that they have the skills and the ability to do the job. So everyone will be treated fair, and of course they're treated fair throughout the process.
Exactly.
But it's similar to what Martin Luther King shared when he talked about judging people, based upon the content of their character, or in this case, their ability to do the job.
Bingo.
So that's the biggest thing that we're looking for here.
Yeah, and I can guarantee you there's no quotas. So if your son is successful, he will be appointed, just like anyone else. So I would hope that he is encouraged, and you guide him to March the 8th and March the 15th for the Firefighter Expo.
Lauren, did that answer your question, dear?
I believe it did. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate you calling. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Again, very direct, which is what we want.
Absolutely.
We've talked about a lot, but I think, and I know I stopped you right in what you were saying, but we'll come back to that. I want to go to the Expo right now. We've talked about this Expo. We've had some calls come in, but let's talk specifically about the Expo. I want to know what's going to happen there, where's it going to happen, and what can people expect when they show up at this Expo. Here I am, I'm at the Expo. What can I expect? Let's talk.
All right. Well, first thing you'll do is you'll want to go to the Fire Training Academy. It's actually a campus at this point. So there is the large building that used to be a high school at one point. You'll want to go into that particular building. We'll get you registered, and then the chief, along with a few other people, will introduce you to firefighting. What is it all about?
Where is this large high school you're talking about?
It's at 3639 Parsons. Do I have that exact
Old Worldly
address
High
right?
School.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Go ahead, please. Continue.
So it will be held there. We're actually going to move our individuals that participate in this into some of the different buildings, so they'll get a good sense of what the Fire Training Academy campus is all about. But they'll get an introduction into firefighting. Then they'll have an opportunity to go to one of the classrooms and actually get hands-on with some of the emergency medical techniques. We'll have some mannequins there. You'll have an opportunity to kind of see what it's like to do some of the different...
Is this over both days, the 8th and the 15th?
Yes.
Each time?
It'll be the same sessions. It'll be held again and again. So we have many opportunities. What we're trying to do, the reason we have actually every single hour we'll start the sessions all over again. So the reason why we're doing that is we want to have smaller groups, so you have an opportunity to get more of that hands-on experience. So when you're going into the EMT room, you'll get a chance to actually touch and feel, some of the equipment that's being used, and you'll get a chance to try something out. So you get that hands-on feel. Then you'll have an opportunity to meet with firefighters, and we're going to have firefighters from all different kinds of backgrounds that will just talk about their own personal experiences, what it's been like to be a firefighter. What's the lifestyle like? How do I balance, my work, my life, kids, all the other things that happen.
And can you imagine if you had experienced that over 30 years ago when you came on, Charles? Didn't have that opportunity.
No, but...
But you're still standing.
Yeah, I'm still standing.
But
God be willing, right?
Please, go ahead.
That's some people
wonderful.
wonder, it's like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm not sure if this is the thing for me. So they'll get asked those questions, those things that kind of bug them, that I'm not sure if this will work because of this, but they don't know who to ask. They'll be right there. You'll be able to ask them. So you'll have that opportunity. We'll have opportunities to, in the registration bag, you'll have some information about how to prepare for the examinations. That's take-home stuff that you'll be able to bring with you. Then you'll have an opportunity, you actually move over to the smaller building. This is actually where they do the recruit training. And outside, we're going to actually demonstrate, we're going to show that teamwork. And we're going to have the fire and engine, engine and ladder operations.
Okay.
They're going to go as if they're going to a fire scene. They're going to show how all the different people work together to resolve a fire.
Why hasn't this been done before? I marvel at that by hearing this. This is the kind of innovative approach I think that's been needed. Why hasn't this been done? Or is that $1 million question that can't be answered?
Well, I think that, you try different things.
Certainly.
And we're at the point now where we feel that we're going to be somewhat out of the box, so to speak. And this is something that, again, has been discussed over the years, and I just think it came to fruition with the mayor's initiative, safety director, and our chief putting this together and making it happen. That's the big thing. You have these different wheels that you have to kind of, you have things you have to mesh and come together, and I think this is like a perfect storm for this. So one thing though, Liz, I was curious, how does one go about signing up for the expo?
Yeah, well, that's
There.
a good question.
Very good. Very legitimate, yes.
You can actually register right online. If you wanted, you could just do a search and do Columbus Firefighter Expo. You'll be able to find it. Add in maybe the word registration. It's actually hosted on Eventbrite. It's eventbrite.com. And then you do a search for Firefighter Expo, and you can find it there, and you just register right there. You'll get a choice of which date that you want, whether it's the 8th or the 15th, and you'll get a choice of the different sessions. Each session will last about 4 hours.
Now, if someone chooses to do it the old-fashioned way by picking up a phone and calling, can they do that?
This is online only.
So they can't do that. Huh? But you can call and get more information
You
about
can call
the-
and get, yes.
Anything else that someone who shows up for this expo should be really aware of? I mean, what else is going to happen
Well,
that really...
yeah, I think, you want to be prepared. The engine and ladder operations will be outside, so you want to be dressed for the weather, whatever that weather might be. Firefighters do work in all types of weather, so if it rains, we're going to be out there, we're going to be showing what had happened, so you might want to wear a jacket or whatever it takes in terms of the weather outside. After you watch those engine and ladder operations, you'll have an opportunity to actually try a couple of the physical events on the tests that we're going to have. So in our examination process, we try to simulate some of the parts of the job.
Right.
And part of the physical test, for example, one of the things that firefighters will be doing is what we call a rescue drag. So individuals who participate in this will have a chance to pick up one of those rescue dummies.
What is that? What is a rescue drag? Cheryl?
Well,
I mean, you can-
I think Liz was doing a good job when she was going into it because they've had
your
somewhat,
muscles to show us what
they
we're
somewhat. I don't know how much the dummy's going to weigh this particular time,
Yeah, I think it's 180 pounds.
but it's usually pulled through a maze, if I'm not mistaken. At least the way it was
Yeah.
before. I don't know if it's going to be a different.
Yeah, and so
setup.
I'll describe it. So what we'll do is, and
The
I've
dummy is the
and I've
mannequin.
done
I'm really
this.
cautious about
Now,
using
and
the
I want to
word
tell you, I'm almost 50, and I did this when we tried this
Yes,
out
you
because
did.
we
Yes, you
ran
did.
through this. I picked up that rescue dummy. I drug it around a couple tires, just basically showing that you can do it, and you can do it within the distance and do it within the speed. So you have an opportunity to kind of feel what that's like. You also have an opportunity, we do a simulation of a forced entry.
Oh, okay.
And the way we simulate that is we have you hold a sledgehammer, and then we have this great big tire, and you just pound the tire a certain distance. But that'll just get you a feel for some of the different types of events you might experience with the physical test, get an idea of what kind of shape you need to be in, and so you can be ready for that.
Well, so as you just heard, great opportunity for you if you want to come here. If you want to give us a call at 614-645-6557, we'd love to talk to you a little bit more about the expo and what's going to happen there. And for anyone out there who's watching this show who has questions about whether or not it would be advantageous for you to show up at the expo, I think the gauntlet has been laid down by Liz Reed here. If you've got the gumption, the muscles, not only the physical muscles, but the mental power, I think this expo is for you. And the advantages to be gained at the expo, I think, are insurmountable. So thank you very much for talking about it. You know, there's so much we can talk about. But one other thing that I do want to talk about before we conclude here today, our esteemed chief of the division has been sitting by you. And I briefly want to talk about, because this program, this expo, which is what we're here for today, is wonderful. But Chief Paxton also is kind of spearheading another program that focuses on opportunities within the division. And it's called Can You Take the Heat? Can I pull this up? It's called Can You Take the Heat? And it has FX321, and it says Fire Extreme Boot Camp Series, 3 days, 2 nights, 1 gold. I got to throw it out there, Chief. I know we're going to talk about this brief. How will this program provide an introduction to firefighting for not only women but for men? And do they physically get to experience what firefighters go through during this introduction for this?
Yes, in a word. This is an extension of the program, the Expo program, in which the Expo exposes people to the various aspects of firefighting. As Liz was saying, the physical aspect of taking the test, the teamwork aspect of doing evolutions. I think another part that's very important is the life-work balance aspect, because of the very odd parts of firefighting where you live together, you work together. It's very unusual in the workplace, and it's something that needs to be explored as people try to maintain boundaries between work and their home lives. Yes. So when people get interested in firefighting as a profession, especially people who've never thought about it, we want to take those people who really get the bug, who really think this could be for me, but what does it really entail? Because I have seen people talk about it. I've talked to people. I have the interest. You know, there's a fire burning in me to pursue this a bit more. So what we're going to do, it's a boot camp where you actually go to the State Fire Academy. This is a collaboration between the State Fire Academy and the Division of Fire in Columbus to provide an opportunity to go for an immersion program, a boot camp, an extreme experience where we try to actually mimic the life and work schedule of firefighting, which is to say that you go in on Friday and you register, and then we start putting you through the paces. We give you CPR certification. You actually hands-on get certified. You will then participate in scenarios that mimic medical incidents you would encounter on the job. At the end of the evening, because you've been there all day, you eat there, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have panel discussions to talk about that life-work balance that's so important in firefighting. And then you spend the night, just like we do in firehouses. You don't get to go home. Yeah, I know. It's really an immersion program. It really gives you the feel, because the next morning you're awakened by a PA that says, get up. And we have roll call, just like we do in the firehouses. We do physical training. Then we start on the second day into firefighting. We start teaching you in the classroom the basics of firefighting. We teach you how to use the breathing apparatus, so that by the end of the first day, you get lunch. We do feed you every day. Yes.
So you are fed.
Yes, because it's very intense. Toward the end of the first day, we go through small scenarios with live fire, where the participants actually put out fires. They work in teams. They find out what it's like to wear the equipment. They get a little feel of the heat. And then especially that second night, there is a very candid panel discussion among the participants about what it is to be a firefighter. Then they get to spend a second night at the State Fire Academy, and the next day we do more advanced fire training into our we call it the burn building, where you go inside and we simulate bed fires, small house fires. The participants come out of that, we clean them up, we have a graduation ceremony, and what we do, we of course will be signing them up for the entrance test that Liz has been talking about, but we're also going to incorporate them into our auxiliaries. The Division of Fire has an auxiliary program where people very interested in the fire service and becoming part of the fire service meet monthly. They do training at that time. So this is part of our retention program because, part of what Liz does is attract great numbers of folks, but it's difficult to retain them until we can employ them. So I think this is a mechanism where we can attract and retain. But you can see this is only going to be, we're having 2 camps to begin with, and each one has only 25 participants.
When are these camps?
These are going to be April 11th and April 25th at the State Fire Academy, which is out in Reynoldsburg.
Certainly.
It's in conjunction. I see it as an extension of the program that Liz is doing right here, because you have to have a much higher interest in the fire service to invest 3 days
Certainly.
and to actually participate in what you would do as a firefighter. So we think that the people who make it through those 3 days are going to be very serious candidates
to do this job.
for our job.
Where did this idea come from, Chief?
Well,
I
I've
mean,
got
it
a-
seems to be a pretty aggressive approach to increase representation.
It is. I had read about it in our trade magazines, but really it was brought to my attention by Council Member Michelle Mills. She has been very active in our efforts to get more diversity into divisions of police and fire. And it was she who sent to me a link to a New Hampshire school that does just this. They would target women only from the ages of 14 to 20. And they had a 6-day immersion program. So we worked that back a little bit to make it a little bit more workable. And through Larry Flowers, who's the state fire marshal, we were able to secure the use of the State Fire Academy, which has dormitories and a cafeteria and all of the training props that we need to be able to put this program on. So we just see it as a complementary program to the Expo.
With the
Oh,
Expo.
absolutely.
I promised myself when I sat down with all 3 of you that I would not talk numbers. I hate doing that, don't you? I don't want to crunch numbers. There's nothing like being a bean counter, and I don't mean that in a negative sense. But I am going to ask this one. What kind of numbers are you hearing? Not only for the Expo, but for can you take the HEAT program? I know the Expo is over 2 days. The program that you are spearheading, Chief, is over 3. Have you heard some numbers? And that's it. I finally said it. I got it out there, and then I want to let it go.
Well, we can accommodate up to 600 people altogether between the 2 days. So we can accommodate 300. The last time I checked on the registration page, we had about 137 signed up.
So we're getting
we
there.
do have space available. But time is ticking, and they are coming in pretty quickly. Hopefully, during this hour-long show, we've got an additional few that have signed up. Does that answer your question in terms of the numbers?
Yeah, it certainly does. But did you hear that? So you do have space. You do have time, but they are filling up. So if you're interested in doing this and taking advantage of what I think is a wonderful opportunity, get there. Get there to the Expo. Did I do that the right way? There we go. Get to the Expo and sign up and go from there. How about you, Chief Paxton? Any numbers you're hearing? Or
Well, we are piggybacking off the efforts made by the Expo. Ours is a month later, so we have the advantage of time in this regard. So we're just beginning to mount our advertising campaign. But as I said, so much good work has been done on the Expo that we're going to take advantage of that.
Good. Well, I'm going to start wrapping this up, but I'm going to direct this at you, Chief Paxton. What is your ultimate goal? The one thing that you want people who attend both of these events, what is it you would like them to take from them?
Okay. When I first took this job a couple years back, I promised to try to run the Division of Fire more like a business.
Sure.
And we're trying to do that. Part of running a business is attracting new employees and selecting the best people that have the best fit for your organization. That's what we're trying to do here. And part of the reason we're reaching out to these different groups is that we know there's talent in those groups. We know that. But those groups are underrepresented in our organization. So we are in competition with other businesses in Central Ohio who are mining that data that we are missing. So this is our effort to get that talent into the Division of Fire.
Great, love hearing that. But I'm going to come back to you guys here in a minute because we have a call. Caller, you are on the air. Who am I speaking to, please? Caller, you're here.
Hi, my name is Gabby Larson, and I was wondering how old you have to be a firefighter.
Minimum age is 17 and a half years old. 17 and years old. There's no maximum age. So again, 17 and a half years of age is the minimum age. There is no maximum age for one to go through a process. You have to be have a high school diploma or a GED, have a valid driver's license, and be a U.S. citizen.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
If you can do the job, they've got a place for you. If you got it within you.
And we expect you at the Firefighter Expo, March the 8th and 15th.
Thank you. I'll be there.
Okay,
Right.
look forward to seeing you.
Chief, back to what you were saying. I didn't want to cut you off.
I wasn't really cut off. But just as we are in a marketplace for talent, we have to be able to compete and attract that talent. And I think the Expo is a great step toward a part of the marketplace that we have just been missing. It's not that the talent isn't there. It's just that we haven't been able to get our message and our brand to that group of people to attract them into our organization. And that's to our detriment.
Well, thank you. Any last words? Anything you would like to impart on our viewers from you, Liz, and from you, Charles? Anything you would like to add?
Let me just share this. I think so many times the youth have missed the information because of the perception of what we do and who we are. But I'm just like you are. I'm from a one-parent household headed by a female. There's a lot of you out there, young adults as well. And I took advantage of an opportunity, and I'll tell you, it's one of the best opportunities and things I've done in my life outside of marrying my beautiful wife. And what I would like to share with you is you could be sitting here where I am, or at least on the division, and have a wonderful career, have an opportunity to be gainfully employed, for quite some time, have an opportunity to advance yourself. And I just think this is an opportunity that can't be missed. So if I were to say anything, I would say, please join us on March the 8th, March the 15th, and follow up by taking advantage of the application period, April the 1st through the 30th. I look forward to having someone like yourselves, whoever you are, become a Columbus firefighter. I thank you for your time.
And just think, that could be the beginning of a beautiful relationship. Thank you very much. Is there anything you would like to add, Liz?
Do we have time to plug the Rec and Parks camp?
We will make time.
All right.
Well, let's do it.
A third wheel to this is really talking about the kids coming up and introducing them to firefighting as a potential career. And we have actually teamed up with the Columbus Rec and Parks. They have summer programs that are fantastic programs. Their brochure just came out. And in that program, the one thing that you're going to see that's different this time that you haven't seen before is the Columbus Police and Fire Exploration Camp. And this is an opportunity for kids ages 9 to 15 to explore those particular careers.
Talk a little bit about that camp.
Yeah, so this camp, the camp, it's only $25. So if you have a kid between 9 and 15, you can sign your child up for the camp. It's only $25. You do have to be a City of Columbus resident to participate in this particular camp. These will be held July 21st through 25th or July 28th through August 1st, depending upon the age of the student or the child. And it's really just an opportunity to learn a little bit about the field of public safety. So you'll have an opportunity, I'm just going to peek a few things. You'll get to tour some of the facilities. You'll get to see some of the specialized equipment that's used in both police and fire. Basically, it's just, as it says, an exploration camp. just a chance to kind of get a feel for it.
Well, anything else you would like to add about this camp? Because this is the first time hearing from it.
Yeah,
Please,
just-
let's talk
hey,
more
just
about
printed
this. This is-
right off
The
the
younger the better.
right off the presses. So this is an opportunity for a lot of young people. They don't realize when you go, if you are interested in police and fire, I mean, it is a public safety job. You come into the homes of citizens within Columbus. So some of the things that we need to do when we're selecting individuals for these jobs is we need to ensure they have a good, clean background.
Oh, yeah.
And so by introducing individuals to these jobs at a young age, they'll know that they need to be careful when it comes to participating in certain activities that might exclude them from a job like
And
this.
you deal in background every once, I mean, do
Oh,
you
yeah.
cross-train in back?
Oh, yes.
And that tends to be an issue with some of the applicants, their background?
That could be a major issue, their background. And so that's why I mentioned the younger the better. If we can get to them at a younger age, like Liz mentioned, we can share with them that the pitfalls of your decisions are going to pay major consequences down the road for you that could be negative, and you'll never become a Columbus firefighter. And it could affect you in the private sector as well, certainly. So,
Any last words from you, Chief Paxton?
Go to the expo. Bring your friends. It's going to be fun.
Well, you know, I think it was wonderful. I think it's great that what we've talked about. I want to thank you, Chief Paxton, for spending the time, taking the time to explain your program and your support that you have for the Expo. I think both of these programs they sound wonderful. And I want to thank you, Liz, for being here and articulating your
I
position.
appreciate
And last but not least, Charles Gilton, who's been on the show quite a few times.
Thank you.
My hope is that both of these programs are successful and they will bring the results that you guys are looking for. So thank you very much for being here.
thank you.
Thank you.
In a city the size of Columbus that's becoming more and more diverse every year, representation and opportunities abound for those who are brave enough to take the bull by the horn and meet the challenge. I think this Fire Expo is a great place to start. So we'll see you there. On behalf of the Department of Public Safety with Mitchell Brown, Director, and the Columbus Division of Fire with Chief Gregory Paxton, my name is Gregory Couch, and for the City of Columbus, we'll see you next time.